Take 16 to them. Jnanena when, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which the science is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. Purpose.
Those who have forgotten Krishna must certainly be bewildered. But those who are in Krishna consciousness are not bewildered at all. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvam Jnana Plavena Jnanagni Sarva Karmani and Nahi Jnanena Sadrisham. Knowledge is always highly esteemed. And what is that knowledge? Perfect knowledge is achieved when one surrenders unto Krishna, as it is said in the 7th chapter, 19th verse. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan maham prapadyate. After passing through many births, when one perfect in knowledge surrenders unto Krishna, or when one attains Krishna consciousness, then everything is revealed to him, as everything is revealed by the sun in the daytime. The living entity is bewildered in so many ways. For instance, when he unceremoniously thinks himself God, he actually falls into the last snare of nescience. If a living entity is God, then how can he become bewildered by nescience? Does God become bewildered by nescience? If so, then nescience, so Saturn, is greater than God. Real knowledge can be obtained from a person who is perfect in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, one has to seek out such a bona fide spiritual master and under him learn what Krishna consciousness is. For Krishna consciousness will certainly drive away all the nescience, as the sun drives away darkness. Even though a person may be in full knowledge that he is not this body but is transcendental to the body, he may still not be able to discriminate between the soul and the super soul. However, he can know everything well if he cares to take shelter of the perfect, bona fide, Krishna conscious spiritual master. One can know God and one's relationship with God only when one actually meets a representative of God. A representative of God never claims that he is God, although he is paid all respect ordinarily paid to God. Because he has knowledge of God, one has to learn the distinction between God and the living entity. Lord Sri Krishna therefore stated in 2nd chapter that every living being is individual and that the Lord also is individual. They were all individuals in the past. They are individuals at present, and they will continue to be individuals in the future, even after liberation. At night, we see everything as one in the darkness. But in the day when sun is up, we see everything in its real identity. Identity with individuality in spiritual life is real knowledge. real knowledge is like a sun. Material knowledge may be minuscule or miniature in its effect and impact, and the area on which it illuminates, and the uh, intensity of the luminance. So material knowledge is miniature by constitution, but real knowledge is like the sun. The sun illuminates everything. We see when the sun rises in the morning, it illuminates everything. Uh, the rooms are illuminated, the fields are illuminated, everything is illuminated. One can freely move around. The presence of the sun creates a safe and secure atmosphere for everyone to start doing activities. In the night, one may be fearful, one may be hesitant to do activities. It's not so secure to be roaming around in the night. But the sun comes, everything becomes peaceful, or everything becomes safe and secure. In a similar way, real knowledge is also like that. When we say that real knowledge is all illuminating, what does it mean? Or it lightens up everything. It means that actually real knowledge uh, gives us confidence. Real knowledge gives us uh, mental strength. Real knowledge gives us purification of heart. It gives us determination. Real knowledge is like glucose. It directly goes into our blood systems. So it directly goes into our blood system. So real knowledge is like glucose. Uh, that means what? That real knowledge will always fit into any kind of varna and ashram settings. Real knowledge will never be a misfit. Material desires create a misfit, not real knowledge. So you see, person is addicted to wine, his job collapses, his family collapses, health collapses. Material desires. Somebody is very much addicted to lust, his family life collapses, his health will collapse, his mindset will be agitated. Material desires create this kind of uh, incompatibility issues. But the real knowledge is like glucose, so it gels with any material setting very nicely. Very nice. So that means that when you get higher principle, then you also get to understand how the higher principle can coexist along with lower principle. That is the test that we have got the higher principle. So somebody, if he has learned what is spiritual life, he will also understand how to fulfill one's material duties. If one has not learned that, that means he has not got the higher principle. Because higher principle contains the lower principle as a subset. Therefore, Prabhupada would always say a devotee, by default, a devotee is a gentleman. A devotee cannot be a politician. A devotee cannot be diplomatic. If it is, then there is something wrong in the understanding of the devotional service which the devotee is practicing. Maybe, may not be completely wrong, but it's incomplete. That means it's incomplete. It's not understood it properly. A higher principle will always have the lower principle. That's the nature of the higher principle. So we have to understand that. And therefore, time and again, a sadhaka can check. So if we are not able to execute the lower principle in the name of the higher principle, that means the higher principle is not so properly installed. or we have not understood it properly. So this is a check which we can do. We may be doing a lot of surveys, but if we are breaking the hearts of devotees and shaking their faith, then there is something wrong in our understanding of what we are practicing. Something incomplete in our understanding of what we are practicing. Because the higher principle is properly installed, the lower principle will work. That's the idea, or that is the understanding. Therefore, this real knowledge is very essential. Now, Prabhupada goes on to explain the purport how this real knowledge can be installed into our hearts. So, first of all, when the sun comes, the sun goes everywhere. The sun flows everywhere. Just like when ocean waters flood, they cover all the territory. Not that they will only cover one part, not cover the other part. They will expand everywhere. So, therefore, the sun expands everywhere. So now the first process Prabhupada is telling, by surrendering oneself to the principles, by applying, being ready to apply the principles, being ready to mold oneself, being ready to follow. So that is a state. Then that state of Sharanagati actually is is analogous to opening the doors and windows of one's house. If one has kept the doors and windows everything closed with thick curtains, 10-layer, 5-layer curtains, then the room will be very dark, even if the sun is broad in the sky. The sun is fully manifest in the sky. But if one opens his doors and windows, then a lot of sunlight will come in, like that. So therefore, to get good lighting in the house, it is explained that one should have a lot of windows, is it not? From where the sun can come. So any principle of Shastra we follow, that is like creating a window. So whenever we follow, we are opening the window. The sunlight of knowledge will come. Whenever we don't follow, we are closing the window, like that. So when we don't follow at all, that means we have made a house with no windows. So inside is all dark dungeon, that way. So that is the idea actually, that we have to we have to have a lot of windows so that good sunlight will come. Then everything will be well lit. Everything will be well lit. So this is the point which Prabhupada is trying to drive in this book. The Sharanagati is one aspect which Prabhupada is driving. So of how to cultivate real knowledge, or how to allow the real knowledge to flow into our hearts. The second thing Prabhupada is talking about is following the bona fide spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada explains every living entity has the potentiality, the germ of Krishna consciousness is latent, and every living entity has the potentiality to become Krishna conscious. This potentiality has to be ignited. Just like a candle may have the potentiality to burn, that energy, that potentiality is there, but it has to be lit by another candle or matchstick. So the process of lighting, therefore, connecting to a spiritual master is a process of lighting actually. That one is lit and one can burn and offer light to Krishna, a sacrifice to please Krishna. So therefore, Prabhupada explains the aspect of being connected to the spiritual master, because Prabhupada explains the purport that one may be able to understand his not body is the soul, but he will not be able to differentiate between soul and super soul. So, in fact, even differentiating mind, intelligence, ego from the soul is also very difficult, and separating each of them also is even more difficult. These are all very difficult areas actually. So, therefore, we need to connect to the bona fide spiritual master, because we need external illumination time to time. So external illumination will lead to internal illumination in due course of time. That is the understanding which has to be understood. That's how real knowledge can seep into our hearts. Text 17. Tad buddhayas tadatmanas tannishthas tatparayanaha gacchantya punaravrittim jnana nirdhut kalmashaha. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Purpose. The Supreme Transcendental Truth is Lord Krishna. The whole Bhagavad Gita centers around the declaration that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the version of all Vedic literatures. Paratattva means the Supreme Reality, who is understood by the knowers of the Supreme as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the last word in the Absolute. There is nothing more than that. The Lord says, Mattaha parataram nanya kinchidaste dhananjaya. Impersonal Brahman is also supported by Krishna. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. Therefore, in all ways, Krishna is the supreme reality. One whose mind, intelligence, faith, and refuge are always in Krishna, or in other words, one who is fully in Krishna consciousness, is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings and is in perfect knowledge of everything concerning transcendence. A Krishna conscious person can thoroughly understand that there is duality, simultaneous identity, and individuality in Krishna. And equipped with such transcendental knowledge, one makes steady progress in the path of liberation. So Prabhupada concludes the previous purport by saying that identity with individuality in spiritual life is real knowledge. And Prabhupada concludes this purport also with a similar point. Identity with individuality. We are identical to Krishna in spirit, in quality, in mission. But we have our own individuality in making our own personal offering of service to Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada used to say that every devotee has to fly his own plane. That is individuality. But every devotee is serving Krishna. That is identity. So every devotee chants the holy names, does Mangalarti, reads Bhagavatam, Gita. That's identity. But how they serve, that is individuality. and both have to be accepted and appreciated. No devotee can become the stereotype copy of another devotee. At the same time, there are certain fundamental base foundations which classify us as being called as devotees. There is identity, there is individuality. The Lord explains here that fixity entails a four-stage process. Fixity is a cultivation. Fixity is not a state, it's a cultivation. And fixity entails four processes or four stages. The fixity entails four stages, four processes actually, are four components of fixity. And the Lord explains here that one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge, if they are all fixed on the Supreme, then one can steadily progress. A four stage, four component process. So the first step, intelligence, or the first component, one's intelligence should be fixed on Krishna. So intelligence is a vision. So intelligence is the vision actually. Intelligence is the vision. Intelligence will give us the discrimination of what is spiritual, what is not spiritual. What is service, what is not service, what is higher service, lower service. That's intelligence. So intelligence has to be based on Krishna. Therefore, you will see a very prominent aspect of sadhana bhakti is to focus on sharpening one's intelligence. Hearing or Shravanam is one of the foundational pillars, and the purpose of Shravanam is intelligence. Obviously, Shravanam does purification of heart at the same time, but but one of the prominent things which Shravanam does is that it sharpens our intelligence. It imparts intelligence to us. So we see the Shastras are there to give us intelligence. If we see the prayers of the Acharyas in the Bhagavatam, they are also very philosophical. They are not just sentimental, oh Lord, I just want to cry tears for you. When I see you, I just feel like crying at the rosary. So it's not very sentimental. The prayers are quite philosophical. Prayers are very philosophical actually. So you see so many acharyas pray in such a philosophical manner. Oh Lord, who is who is the foundation of the Mahatattva, and everything rests on Mahatattva, and Mahatattva rests on you. When nothing is there, you are there. You are the absolute. You are beyond. You are within and without. Very philosophical. Many acharyas pray in a very philosophical way. So many of these prayers are philosophical. So the point is that it sharpens the intelligence. So the Shastras are geared to that subject, sharpening of the intelligence. Rather, if you see a good amount of our devotee relationships are also centered around exchange of Krishna Katha. So that is also that has a very that has a philosophical when we say bodhayantas parasparam, or when we say that guhyama achati prachiti is philosophical actually. So the point is, the whole point is, so the priti lakshanam bodhayantas parasparam, that is also philosophical actually. So that means the sharpening of the intelligence is an important aspect, strategic and important aspect. The second component is the mind. Mind is related to the heart actually. So mind means feelings. Mind means inspiration. That's what mind is all about. So that should be involved in the supreme. That means one should be enthusiastic about the performance of Krishna consciousness. One should be excited about the performance of Krishna consciousness. Then the mind is involved. One may say, okay, I have to practice Krishna consciousness. I have to mark my attendance. Okay, so intellectually one is understanding, okay, fine, but he is practicing in a very miserable way, The 16 rounds done, then one is, so that means the problem is that the intelligence got involved, the mind is not involved actually. The mind is still thinking of, so sometimes devotees feel that, okay, let me just drag myself somehow or the other till the end of the morning program so that I can get good prasad and then I will sleep for 3 hours. So the heart is involved in the prasad of sleep actually, but the intellectually one is understanding, I have to, somehow or the other drag myself, get done with it. The morning program. So this is called as my intelligence involved, mind not involved. Again, that way. Intelligence involved, mind not involved. So mind has to be involved. That means, a seva also, because this is given to me, I have to do it. Not like that. It's not like sarkari, okay, now finally it has come upon me, I have to do it, otherwise I'll lose my job. Okay, so intelligence may have got involved, mind is not involved, heart is not there actually, one is not excited about it. So the mind is involved means one is excited about the performance of devotion, service, or that component of devotion, service or seva. That's the point, the mind has to be involved. So the mind is the heart. Heartily one should practice Krishna consciousness. Heartily one should practice Krishna consciousness. So now the next question which comes is that, okay, so how to involve the heart? So the first thing is that, the same, so the first understanding is that the same determination which is used to get involved, the same determination, if it is taken one step more further, then one can get involved heartily. The pathway is the same. It's not something different, It's not that the same intelligence which is used that, okay, let me practice Krishna consciousness. That intelligence which we used, or that determination which we have used to go to that extent, that same determination and stretch can be taken a little further to the next stage, that let me do it nicely also. If I'm doing service, let me do it with a smile, and then the next stage, that let me do it with a smiling face and a smiling heart, like that. So the first step is, okay, let me do it somehow or the other. At least it's done, like that, So the second stage can be, okay, let me do it with a smiling face, and the third stage will be, let me do it with a smiling face, smiling heart. So the pathway of the determination is the same. It's not a different profile. It's not that, okay, our shastras only give philosophy. Philosophy is what will give you feelings. Therefore, we say hearing is more important than chanting, because what will you chant? If you don't know what are you chanting, what will you chant? Philosophy more important, hearing more important than chanting. So the feelings, the heart will get involved when you know. So that's the same point. The pathway is the same. Therefore, one should not get confused. You know that how to involve this mind and heart. Just go on a little further, stretch yourself. That is why Srila Prabhupada said, if you don't feel enthusiastic, you act enthusiastically. Because involving the heart is also a cultivation. It's a matter of determination. That's all. That is the point. That is the idea which one has to understand and appreciate. So that's a mind beginning. The next component which is said is that faith also should be involved. Third component is the faith. The faith has to be involved. Yeah. So you see that the Lord is explaining one by one, is it not? The Lord is explaining that buddhayas involve the intelligence. That atmanas refers to mind, not soul. Mind. It refers to mind. Tad nisthas means the faith is involved, and tat parayanaha, that means one takes shelter of the Lord. And then the jnana nirdhuta kalmasham takes place. By that knowledge, kalmasha is destroyed. So, and okay, before you go to faith, one important point is that before the heart is involved, the intelligence has to be involved. So that's why we say it's a progression actually. The first step is to do it, and the second step is to do it heartily. Is it not? Therefore, we don't give too much. We don't give too much overwhelming importance to sentiments or the sentimental or the emotional platform. Emotions may be very good to intensify a certain service. You are emotionally and also involved, but emotions cannot be let free. Because if emotions are let free, then they may get caught up somewhere, which is not at all proper. That's the point. So the first intelligence has to be involved, because intelligence will decide whether this is the right frame. And once one understands that this is the right frame, then emotions can get involved. That's fine. Is it not? Like that. So tad buddhayas is the first thing which has to get involved. It's just like if one is passing on the street and one sees a beautiful young girl, like that, then the first thing which has to get involved is tad buddhayas, not tad atmanas, because if tad atmanas gets involved, it is going to become sinful. Is it not? Because if one says, okay, let me involve the heart, so if you involve the heart, it's finished, is it not? Because the heart only flows in one direction, that is, just reciprocate, like that, because that's the point. So first is tad buddhayas. First you understand, should I get involved or not? Should I open up my sentiments or not? So that's the point, is it not? So the vision is important, is it not? So therefore, very important, the intelligence. That's why intelligence has to be sharpened, like that. Yeah. So now, faith. So the next component is the faith. So what is this faith all about? Now what is this faith all about? So the point to note is that this faith is all about so the faith is so the faith is the next component. So the faith means what? That what is it that we are going to give exclusive priority to? Whose government it is actually? So many times one may practice a certain regulated amount of Krishna consciousness. One may practice it nicely also, but one may not give a sufficient priority to it. One may jump up and down, taking up many material principles to solve the things. That's the idea. So that means there is something lacking on the ground of faith actually. So the faith means what? That okay, by practice of Krishna consciousness, by spiritual strength, everything will be set right. So that's the idea. So now what is the difference between involving mind, heart, and then addition of faith? The difference is that it is more intense when faith is involved. Why? Because mind and heart may be involved. Okay, everything is going very nice, and we are relishing Krishna consciousness. Mind and heart involved, very nice. I mean, heart and intelligence involved, very nice, very nice. Moving ahead like that. So now the where does the aspect of faith comes in now? The aspect of faith comes in that okay, when the times are not so palatable, now what will you do? So now whether one will start running about material settings or one will still keep the mind and intelligence involved. That is the question. That's where the faith comes into picture. The faith is that okay, I'm practicing Krishna consciousness intensely. This itself is the medicine. I'm practicing Krishna consciousness intensely. This itself is the medicine. If I am taking this medicine, then there is nothing else which is required. Okay, I may do things on a material setting which are allowed and directed by the spiritual settings, but there is nothing extraneous which I may have to do. All material settings have to be subservient to my spiritual Sharanagati. That's the idea actually. So this is the meaning of faith. This is the meaning of faith. So that's the idea. So why? Because material factors may appear stimulating or provocative actually, but if one simply loses in material factors or trying to and one now minimizes his fervor for Krishna consciousness just because material fact taking shelter of material factors, then that's that's weakening of faith, and that will weaken mind and intelligence both. So that's the point. So the point is that let me stick on with sincerity, with seriousness, even in the face of adversity. That is called as faith actually. Therefore, faith has to be involved. Like sometimes when there is fight, then everyone is provoked to become an animal, say for example, like that. Okay, he did wrong to me, I will also behave insensitively. So that is where faith comes, that okay, there is a battle, there is a war which is going on, fine. So now I can pick up a knife and kill the other person, or I can pick up the Vaishnava principle of humility and kill the other person. That is the whole point. No doubt it's a war, but what is the weapon we are going to use? So when there are fights among devotees, people resort to politics, people resort to insensitivities, diplomacy, and all that. Those weapons are not more, very powerful. More powerful weapons are the weapon of tolerance, the weapon of humility, the weapon of service attitude. That is the point. This is called as faith. And I am not going to give up my weapon. Because any animal can pick up, the weapons of cruelty and insensitivity and politics and diplomacy and all that. Any animal can do that. It doesn't require a devotee also to do that and pick it up actually. That's the point. That is called as faith. That is called as faith. Yes.
This one who is upcoming, he's not perfectly practicing. So when we say this thing, they are not going to hear. We say that don't react at the situation. There is a situation like somebody is cheating us or somebody is right us. And then these are the main.
I'm not just talking about somebody cheating, I'm talking about devotees cheating us. A newcomer is cheated by a devotee or is cheated by a materialist? Is cheated by a materialist. Yeah. Yeah, so the point is that, so the point is that no, anger or envy, where does it or revenge, where does it give satiation and satisfaction to any person? That is the point. The movies may show, okay, if you have something wrong is done on you, you kill the other person, no, but no, you destroy his dynasty, everything. These kind of movie themes may show that, but it is a very bogus principle. Why it is a bogus principle? Because you are wasting your life doing that. Why can't you start a new phase of life afresh, like that, rather than trying to be vindictive and in anger and burning you kill yourself, you kill others. So this whole game of revenge, vengeance, and all that is not a proper game. Actually, it's not a proper platform. That way, all we can do is learn now to be smart enough that people don't loot you. Only learn tactics to that extent, and do something tangible, do something meaningful, do something positive. That positive thing will heal the wounds, will heal the wounds. Why do we want to rupture the wounds again and again, like that? That's the point. So that is the point. So there is therefore there is no, so therefore when there is fight, the best attitude is that okay, you understand how you can minimize the damage to yourself, and take yourself aside, is it not? That's the whole point. And move forward in life. It's all about moving forward. Life is all about moving forward. Don't get stuck up, because when we are stuck up, then we are most miserable. This principle is not just valid for devotees, it's valid for a newcomer one day person. Because what is the advantage in being stuck up? And the same principle is valid for devotees also. We may be looted by devotees, we may be bleeding. Okay, fine. you know, okay, create a space for yourself, move ahead.